Hi, welcome to this video and welcome to my sport channel. Um, Today we're going to talk about why umpires don't work in table tennis matches. There are four major reasons, really. So without further ado, let's go straight into it, right? But a little disclaimer, I think anybody who play enough table tennis in tournaments would understand these points. I'm just laying them out very clearly and making a compelling case for us to move forward to the machine era where we don't need umpires anymore. We just use the machines to detect the rules if they are being breached. So first of all, one of the reasons why umpires don't work is that there are a lot of older folks who are umpires. If you look at some of the international competitions, even like China Open or like World Table Tennis Championships, whoever organized the events, if they are smart, then they may get not so people to be umpires. Now, not being ages, or the problem is that we all know that age affects our eyesight, right? Like we see better when we are younger. Like for example, I'm over 40 years old and I start seeing blurs on balls a lot of times. When I was younger, I don't have such a problem. So for table tennis, such a precise sport, you need like really sharp eye people to actually referee to umpire the match, right? You can't be like, okay, I think I see that, but I'm not sure. The umpire, you have to know. Otherwise, you're just making a silly call that you don't believe in. So here's one major reason, right? You see so many older folks being the umpires, that just doesn't make any sense. Okay. The second reason is that the place they sit, it makes no sense, right? They're sitting on the sides, right? Like if you are unlucky, you only get one umpire and sitting on one side. So if you are serving from your right hand, he or she may not be able to see how you serve from that angle at all, right? And then the lefty, when you switch sides, and she won't be able to see him either. So this is ridiculous. So let's say you get lucky, you get a tournament that's well sanctioned, has money to hire two umpires. So both sides has umpires who can see your serve, right? But they're looking at you from the side. So how are they supposed to know if you actually hide the ball from your opponent? They're not actually sitting from the opponent's angle, which is impossible when the opponent is playing. So they can possibly go there and watch you, unless from a really far distance. Even in that case, your opponent will be blocking their view. So it's makes no sense for umpires to try to see if you're hiding your serve. They can probably tell unless you are extremely obvious, you're doing it blatantly, in which case you deserve to be called. But most of the time, they can't see anything from the side, right? So one of the other rules other than hiding is to tossing the ball like from all action this for goal is not supposed to be more than 15 degrees, right? This is the problem, and the middle point is here, right? So the degree, this draw straight line from the toss is not supposed to be more than 15 degrees. It means it cannot throw so much like this. So how's the umpire gonna see this from the side? Especially if I'm tossing like this and you are the umpire looking at me from in front of me, right? How are you supposed to tell what's the angle I throw up? All you see is a straight line I toss up. There's no way you can tell. That's why it's really silly. Like so that's another reason why umpires would not work. So the third reason, which is one of the biggest reasons of this video, is that there are times hire umpires who are not even good players themselves. Right? They're not really like if they're not even good players. There's many situations, touching the ball, touching the net, kind of hard to tell unless you play the sport yourself and you know that is possible, right? For example, if you're doing an inside out loop, you're doing a forehand loop curving out to your opponent's forehand, right? And it clipped the side edge. In this case, it's impossible for you to touch the outside of the table because you're curving inside out from the inside of the table to outside. So if you touch the edge, it's gonna be on the table. But like some silly players don't understand that. I've played 2000 level players who still don't understand this simple fact. So that's why like there are other situations as well. You need to be a good player to know most of the situations where nets and edges happen. I say you need to be about, for USA players, you need to be around 2000 plus, 2100 plus to be really sure you understand most of these situations. So if you're not a good player, how can you be an umpire? And you have so many umpires, right, in one tournament. A lot of them don't even play table tennis. They get explained the rules and then they just, okay, this is a job, let me just put in my time, get my paycheck, right? You can't do that. Umpire is a very important job. Okay, so and also right, a similar point to this one is that boring job, right? You sit there, you wait for them to get ready, and then they toss, and then they serve, right? And then after they serve, they usually you don't have to do anything after they serve. They hit. Very few of them actually commit any violations when they're playing. The only one being like actually moving the table on purpose or touching the table with the palm of the hand. These things like very rarely happen, right? For any serious tournaments, like you play table tennis for years and you forgot you can't do that. So most umpires are useless after the serve, right? So it's a very boring job. It's very easy to tune out, right? Which means they don't really keep a sharp mind. Like if they're able to keep a sharp mind when they serve and relax at the other points, then they wouldn't really want to do this job in the first place. This job I can't imagine pay really well. They probably don't get paid Uber hourly rate or even McDonald's. I think it may pay slightly better than McDonald's because of because of the how important it is. Not to say McDonald's job is not important, but people mess up and they don't get fired, right? But in umpire, if you mess up, people see it. So it's very important job. So the point is that it's a really boring job, and people who are umpires, a lot of them are not even good players. And even for the ones who are good players, this is like pretty boring job and they may tune out. So and for the people who are not good players or people who just need the money, they're basically they're used to being bored and they're usually not sharp-minded and they would exactly fail to notice the critical situations when it's called for, when it's needed. So we really are not hiring the right people for this job. And also another related point is the superstar factor, right? What that means is if there are two superstars playing a match, and you are the umpire, and you're not even a good player, like you're a so-so player, or you don't even play. Like some matches, I see a really old woman, like she might play the game, but very hard to believe she's any good. She's old, she's short, and you know, she looks like a mom, like an aunt, like a grandma, right? I mean, okay, fine, you might have played when you were younger. How about your eyesight and all that? In that case, right, two superstars, right? One of them served it. One of them said it's net. The other said it's not. Or no, the other said it's not sure. And then obviously, if you're older person, you just go with the one who says it's net because it's safer. Because if you say it's net, then you just redo it. Everybody gets a second chance. But if you insist on what you saw and you're wrong, then the whole world will really hate you, right? So if you don't have the mentality to say what you really think, you shouldn't be an umpire. But that's a lot of times what happened. There's a superstar. This guy ranks number one in the world. This woman ranks number two in the world. Like they say something, the others have no opinion. You're gonna just go along. I mean, because you're scared you're wrong, right? Because you're not even a good player. So that's why it makes no sense to hire like people who are old or not good players. You need to be a really good player, pretty good player, and you need to be young for the eyesight reason because of the age. And fourth reason, this is a very legitimate one. It's not even negotiable. It's that net and edges, they aren't even meant to be seen by human beings. Clip by so little, like even on slow motion, there are even with slow motion in one particular angle, It's impossible to see if there was a net or an edge. You need multiple angles with a machine and replay to be able to see it. Even good players may not be able to see it, or even the two players who are playing might not be able to see it either. They might have felt a little bit different in the ball's trajectory, and suspect that there was a net or edge, but they couldn't be sure, right? Some of these are just so little, but it affects the game. In table tennis, as you know, if you play it like quite a bit, every point is important. So this is not a job for humans. We need machines. We need computers who just map out the table and how the ball moves. And if it just differ by its supposed physical path, then there is a problem. There's a net or an edge, right? We need a machine to do that. It's a machine's job. Like I mentioned, all these reasons. Humans cannot look from the opponent side to see if you high your serve. People cannot see the 15-degree toss. If you look from the side, all of these reasons, you need a machine to call these out immediately, right? And there's no arguments. There's no discretional calls, right? It's all just machine checking, right? And immediately you can put up on the screen why this is more than 15 degrees or why it's hidden, right? But no, we get two very, very emotional people who sit there making calls, right? They have no business making. That's ridiculous. So these four big reasons I just talked about, you can look at the table of contents in the description for these four. Some of them have the main reasons why umpires, but they're not completely useless after all that said, but their usefulness is not what you think. The only usefulness for them is to settle disputes. Right? When two people are saying, okay, I think this is a net, this is not a net, then the umpire, just like Putin or presidency in China, just dictatorship, just say, no, it's not, or yes, it is. There's no one to argue. If you keep arguing, you get a yellow card or you get disqualified immediately, or you get 2 points deducted. Do you want that? No. They're ultimate dictators, right? That's what their usefulness is, which is not useful at all. When you are a professional athlete training your heart out only to be screwed by a really bad ruling, then it's not good. So two examples I can show you. Like I don't have the clip right now, but you can look it up, right? Ding serve. There's a ding serve with her tomahawk, I think. Not tomahawk, just pendulum, a left-hand pendulum. And there's a Marlon serve, just a normal pendulum. He does all his career. Just all his career, he does that. And there's some umpires just feel like the need to, I don't know, like just nip at the Giants. They just want to feel important about themselves. Like, oh, I watch Marlon serve in videos. I know he hides this serve. So next time, if he's gonna do this same serve, I don't care what I see. I'm just call it out. I will make sure, set an example to the rest of the world that if I call the top player out, don't you guys dare to get away with it. Like this is like this silly conservative thinking that cause these serves to be called out. No one's denying that. Like the traditional pendulum serve, usually when the ball drops, our head sometimes hides the ball a little, but that doesn't matter to the game. As long as when the ball drops to the racket and it's not hidden, it doesn't really affect the game. But if you're gonna call that out, then almost everyone's pendulum serve, except maybe Samsonov's, right? He just obviously doesn't hide it like in any means. But you're gonna have to call every single pendulum serve. And if a table tennis player cannot do this pendulum serve anymore, then the serves will become so boring, right? It's really hard to be fun anymore, because if you can't do this serve, it means you can't really use your body that much to go into the ball and push down, right? But the moment you push down, your head is gonna hide the ball a little bit usually, and it usually doesn't affect the play. It doesn't give them an advantage. Just let them do it. So some of these rules are really rigid. Um, Table tennis, is ruled by a bunch of really conservative older folks, right? Because it's just like seen as a pastime. It's like a really leisurely sport. It's not like super serious like golf or tennis. They have so much money in those sports. People are a lot more serious, right? In table tennis, there's more and more money, but just not enough. So some of these like things are still being run by people who just like very obsolete, outdated, and just just not catch up to the latest correct truth, right? Which is what I described in this video. So people are still sticking to the old way of doing things, like dictatorship, and rules that are just rigid, like you can't hide the ball at any time after the toss, So this is just why, and I'll conclude this video why umpires don't work. So thank you very much. If you think I have points, please like and subscribe.